in terms of numerology and like the frequency, right? We believe mathematics is kind of the language of the universe. And, we like to talk about March 15th. And I know you've said some interesting things about March 15th, the Ides of March, and how it relates to Roman history and settling all debts. And so, we just like to kind of hit on that because, we've written some interesting things that talk about frequency. We understand Tesla, the magic of 369. And so, any kind of numerology in your background at all? Do you believe in any of that stuff, or do you think it's hokey?
Well, I mean, I think that there is beauty in mathematics, right? I think if you study, the physics of music and the math of music, you find a lot of very elegant math in it, right? And I have referred to Bitcoin as being musical, and a lot of people think it's mathematically elegant, but if you listen to something beautiful to your ear, that's harmonious and that's pleasing, generally it's because it's mathematically harmonious and elegant. And if you actually start to convert the frequencies into numbers, right, and you're able to take the mathematical transformation, you'll see that there's some mathematical elegance to it. And when that mathematical elegance, it manifests itself physically, you get things that are structurally sound, like in a Fibonacci sequence. Mm-hmm. In a Fibonacci sequence, it's among other things, it's nature's solution to growth under pressure.
Right.
And so there are a lot of examples of that where there are certain mathematical elements and numerical elements that pop up, but I don't fixate on any one thing other than just considering the impact of frequency and vibration and in the Bitcoin world. I mean, the world that we're living in, it's so simple right now. I mean, I'll give you two frequencies, right? The frequency with which gold vibrates, right? If I want to move gold, if I want to settle gold, it's T plus 1 year, like 1, 2, 3 years. It's extremely low frequency. Mm-hmm. Whereas if I want to settle Bitcoin, it's T plus 1 hour or less. So if you look at the difference, you're talking about 10,000 hours versus one. It's a 10,000 to 1 difference. So one of them looks veritably high frequency versus the other. And that actually explains in part why Bitcoin is superior to gold. But another example of using frequency analysis is if you're comparing the natural frequency of the Bitcoin network to the natural frequency of a proof of stake network. If I give you a proof of stake network where you can withdraw your staked tokens in 24 hours, and then I take the Bitcoin network where you can't withdraw your capital from a Bitcoin mining rig. If I take $1 million and I buy Shaw 256 miners, the only thing I can do with them is mine Bitcoin, by generating hashes. So it's a one-way thing, and the natural life of that Bitcoin miner is 6 to 8 years before it burns out. So that means the natural frequency of that network, the amount of time it takes for your capital to decay, is 10 years. Mm-hmm. From the point that you make the decision to invest. Maybe 8 years, 8 to 10 years. So 8 to 10 years times 365 days, right? You're talking about 27,000 days or something like 3,000 days. One of that network has a natural security frequency of 3,000 days, and a proof of stake network might have a natural security frequency of 30 hours or 1 day.
Or for instance, Bitcoin, right, is 3.125 every 10 minutes, or 450 Bitcoin per day, or 13,500 per month, right? These frequency and numbers believe it's manifesting maybe other powers. And so anyways, we like to think about that. We think it's interesting, and so we appreciate that coincidence of that buy when you first started. So,
well, the point that I'm going to make that's really very important, though, is if the resonating frequency is 1 day, and I oscillate or if I perturb the network with high frequency noise every day, right? When you actually hit a system on its natural frequency, it builds up energy, you know, like a swing, you know.
oh yeah,
I hit the swing like that, and eventually the pendulum is doing this.
it's effortless.
But you've got to actually vibrate, or you've got to inject energy on the natural frequency. If you do that to a brick wall or something, it doesn't do anything because the natural frequency is different. So the important point of these natural frequencies is if you're a systems engineer, you realize that you can actually make the system blow itself apart. If you have resonating natural frequencies, the harmonics, if you will, you sing, you know, like the woman that sings at the harmonic frequency of the glass and shatters the glass, right? Okay, so it's really important to the design of a crypto network what the natural frequency is, just like it's very important to electrical system. Electrical engineers know this. Aeronautical engineers know this. You know, the human body has a natural frequency, right? So there are all these, you know, the bridge, I think at the Verrazano Narrow Bridge had a natural frequency. They got it wrong. The wind blew over the bridge, vibrated the bridge at the natural frequency. The bridge shook itself apart, right? So I do think there's a lot of beauty to be found, but I think there's also just a lot of wisdom to be had by looking at any system or any phenomena and then trying to divine what are the natural frequencies, the harmonics, if you will, in the system. And you could describe them musically. You could, with those metaphors, you could describe them with engineering math, and you can describe them mathematically, you know, with theoretical math, depending upon, you know, what abstractions you're comfortable with.